let me go ahead and give you my 8 college baseball World Series picks. First off, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. This team's corner infield and pitching combo is just lethal. Rhett, Lowder, Camden Minacci, and Josh Hartle on the bump with Brock Wilken and Nick Kurtz on the corners. This team's going to be unstoppable. I think they're just a really, really impressive team. A lot of money has gone into that pitching lab, and they've turned their pitchers into absolute studs. This is going to be Wake Forest's year, as they have a lot of guys that are going to get drafted next year, but that's why they're in a prime position to go to the College World Series and hopefully do something special while they're there. The next team that's also just looking nasty, they've got their draft guys like Dylan Cruz, but this LSU team is stacked. Trey Morgan, a second-team All-American. Paul Skeens, Tommy White, and Dylan Cruz, all first-team All-Americans. You rarely ever see that. This is an LSU team that's going to be tough for other teams to match. It's just a really, really special squad here at LSU. I don't think it's really ever been seen a super team like this because of the new transfer rules. They just kind of change everything for super teams being built like LSU, and they've kind of built this squad around their guy, Dylan Cruz. I think LSU is going to be scary. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen in the tournament. Everyone saw what Tennessee did last year, as they ended up selling their shot and didn't make the tournament. But my next pick is Stanford. Pac-12 isn't too strong. There's definitely going to be some guys over in the Pac-12. There's going to be some teams out there, but I think Stanford's just a little bit kind of a step above the rest of the Pac-12. I think the rest of the Pac-12's got a shot, but Stanford's just kind of one notch above. This is a really special team. They lose a guy like Brock Jones, but they still have a guy like Tommy Troy. So next up, I picked them to win the Big Ten. I just think this team is the team in the Big Ten, and it's Maryland. Maryland is just such a cohesive program. A lot of dogs over there. That's a team that fights at every at-bat on the mound and at the plate. I just think they're a really special team, and I think the culture that their coach has built over there is something special, and I think they're going to make their way to the College World Series. My next pick is the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators, they've got their guy, Wyatt Langford. And I really think that's a component of these College World Series teams, is you got to have a leader, and your leader's got to be pretty good at baseball. And Wyatt Langford definitely checks those boxes. This is an all-around team. They've got that lefty pumping up in the upper 90s from Southern Miss. It's just a really special team over at Florida, and I think they're probably just going to be the second notch, maybe the third notch, but I don't know if Tennessee can really get it done based on what we saw last year in the playoffs. So my pick is Florida. With how young this team was last year, I think they definitely are going to have a good shot this year, and I just think they're getting underrated as a team. They're picked to be the 8th seed, so they are picked to make the World Series by D1 Baseball, but I think they may be a little bit above that 8th seed. Next up is one of my sleeper teams, Southern Miss. Southern Miss is an amazing program. Them and East Carolina are on this kind of level where they are always seeming to host a regional, and they're hosting some pretty good teams. Like last year, they hosted LSU. I just think this Southern Miss team is something special, and I think year in and year out, they roll out a great product onto the field, and the fans love it. You can see they've got a really nice fan base, and I think Southern Miss, I think this is the year that they're going to finally get it all done, and I think East Carolina is also looking at doing that in the next few years, but they're definitely very similar programs. And another team I got, and they're a second ACC team for my picks. I've got 2 SEC teams, and I think 2 ACC teams. I think the ACC is a really good college baseball conference, and I think Virginia Tech's definitely a team to watch out for. They lose a guy like Gavin Cross, but I just think this team has so much cohesiveness. They've got a guy, their Huntley out in the outfield, their center fielder. This is just a really solid team at Virginia Tech. They're a nice team all around. They've got some good pitching over there. And I think Virginia Tech is in a perfect spot to head to the College World Series. I think that the College World Series is the goal for them. It's the goal for every team, but they've kind of made the steps. They're a regional type of team year in and year out, and I think this is the year they make this step and they get past the Super Regionals. They win the Super Regional round and they head to the College World Series. And this is my ultimate sleeper. No, it's not Georgia Tech. If you're looking up at the scoreboard, it's Campbell. Campbell is a great program. You heard what I said about Southern Miss. I echo the same remark for Campbell. An amazing program. They're also a team that's always in the regionals. You always see them in the regionals, and I think if they get one upset in the regional, I think they can bring it all the way to the College World Series. Don't sleep on the Campbell Camels. I just think they're a little too good this year to make that same mistake and not be able to get out of the regionals. I think if they get a good draw in the regionals, they're definitely headed to the College World Series.